Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing my favorite video to film every single month, and that is my July TBR. We're gonna recap June's TBR really quick. It was terrible. I read one book. The only book I read was Quicksilver by Callie Hart, which I'm very excited that I did read this because I have been wanting to read this for quite a while and I totally ate this book up. I loved it. And then I proceeded to read Brimstone immediately after that, which I'm currently still in the middle of. But I was just not really in the mood for any of these books, if I'm being completely honest, in the month of June. I was more into summery reads, which I guess I could have foreshadowed, but I was in such a like fantasy zone for the first 5 months of the year that I didn't even think that I was going to be in like a lovey-dovey romancy book kind of mood. And even if I did feel that, I felt like I was still going to want to reach for some fantasy books. But yeah, I also was just kind of slumping pretty hard in the month of June, so we just didn't have a super successful month. So I still have all of these books from my June TBR that are essentially going to go back on the cart. But I did do some revamping of the cart because I felt like, just based on my mood today and what I anticipate my mood being for the rest of July, I was gonna want some more like lighthearted, quicker reads, beach reads, some easy paperbacks to just kind of fly through. So I did add quite a few onto the shelf here. I basically made this entire middle shelf here a like romance, lighthearted, women's fiction type shelf, and then this bottom shelf here is all the fantasy books that are piquing my interest as of right now. So we did a lot of rearranging. I am going to keep these books just kind of to the side of the cart in case one of them piques my interest. We can still kind of pick it, but they're not going to be like first and foremost on the list for the month of July. What month are we in? One book I did want to say that I just have on my radar, but that's not on the TBR because it's so fat and chunky, is the 6th book in the Zodiac Academy series, which is Fated Throne. I started reading this again, I think it was May that I read 2 of the books, and then I just kind of took a little bit of a break. So this one is the next one that I am supposed to be reading. It's the next one up in the series, and I would like to get to this at some point. I would like to finish the entire Zodiac Academy series by the end of the year, which is totally doable because I have 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 8.5. So I have like what? I still have 5 books left, but even if I just read one every month, I could do that. And typically when I read one, then I want to read another one. Like I just kind of want to keep going. So as always, we're using the trusty dusty TBR square jar, and box, right? TBR box. And I think I'm gonna pick 7. 6 or 7. I always say 6 or 7 and then I pick a 7. So we're just gonna go right after that, woo, saying 7. I did recently stock up these prompts too, so if there looks like there's a lot, it's because there aren't. They're all fresh and new. Okay, here we go. A book with a title you love. Wow. One thing you guys should also know is that I love myself and I love reading, so I really don't put in prompts that I don't like. Sorry if you don't like that, but that's just the way it's gonna go. I used to have prompts in here that I would not like at all, and then like to try to challenge myself to read books, and then I just like literally wouldn't read them. So we kind of stopped doing that. We're just doing things we enjoy. So that's where we're at. Okay, a title I enjoy. This is kind of weird because I guess I don't really pay attention to like how I feel about titles. I'm much more of a book cover noticer versus like a title noticer. I don't really care about the titles. Can I pick another one? I don't like this one. I don't love any of these titles, if I'm being completely honest. So I think I'm gonna kind of mix it up with the title / book cover. Like, you know, the duo. Like, do I like the theme of the cover with the title of the book, and is it giving me something? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that because I literally don't really care about any of these titles. All right, let's just start picking ones. The one that's actually catching my eye is The Courting of Bristol Keats. I feel like I'm really just picking this because of the cover and the side. I'm making the executive decision to pick a new prompt because this is my video and I can do what I want, but also because I don't like really, none of the titles are like really speaking to me. So I feel like I don't want to just like pick one, you know? I want to start off the TBR strong. We're gonna pretend that one never happened. Okay, here's our first prompt. A sports romance. Okay, now this I can get down with. I know exactly what I'm gonna pick, and it's right here. Would you look at that? It's The Goal by Elle Kennedy. This is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series. I almost just forgot what it was called. And yeah, I really enjoyed the series so far. I started reading hockey romances this year, I think. No, last year. It was either the beginning of this year or the end of last year. And I think the first one I read was either Heated Rivalry or it was Icebreaker. And now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like it was potentially Icebreaker. And I did not like that book. I just felt like the main characters were so immature and it just was not my vibe. I didn't like the romance. I didn't really like anything about it, to be frank. So I got kind of a bad taste in my mouth about like college romance books, especially like college sports romance books. I just felt like I was too old to be reading them. You know, like I felt like I don't know, which I normally don't feel like that. I don't know, I just really didn't like that book. But then I read the other two and they were okay, but I still like wasn't really vibing with them. And then I read Heated Rivalry. So I must have read Heated Rivalry after, and I was like, okay, adult, postgraduate, hockey romances, sports romances, that's my vibe. But then everyone and their mother kept talking about the Off-Campus series because of the, you know, show that was coming out, and I was like, I have to read this. So I decided to start reading them, and I actually already had the books because I had them. I don't know why I had them, but I had the books. And so I started reading them, and I've just been going through them. I think I read the 3 that I have read so far, the first 3, all last month, or maybe like towards the end of May, and then all of June. And these were like really what I was in the mood for in June, and I feel like I'm still going to be in the mood for them kind of carrying over into the month of July. Also, the 3rd book ended on like a massive quote-unquote cliffhanger. Obviously you have the book like right here and you kind of know what's happening because it says it on the back and you can read these out of order. But the last book, the 3rd book, ended so well. Like I really loved the way that it transitioned into the 4th book. I feel like interconnected standalones don't always do that. Like, you know, sometimes they like give you little hints and stuff. If I had been following this series when it came out and I had no 4th book to read after the 3rd book, I would have been so mad because the way that it ended was just so like, oh my gosh, give me the next book right now, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna read this one. This is gonna be our first book for the July TBR, and I'm very excited about it. Second prompt is free pick. All right, now we're cooking. Now we're going. I'm gonna pick out a couple books that I have my eye on, and then we can like chat about them and see which one is really fitting the vibe. Okay, we have our stack. First one I picked was Abby Jimenez, The Friend Zone. I read the 2nd book. Was that the Happily Ever After playlist or something like that? Okay, I had to move the camera a little bit because it kept going out of focus and it was really pissing me off. Anyways, I was talking about this. Abby Jimenez. This is the first book in one of her series. I don't know what technically it's called, but it's The Friend Zone. I did read the 2nd book in this interconnected standalone series. There's technically 3 books, so I already know what happens. I already know like part of what happens because it was given away to be in the 2nd book, but I really don't care. I'm curious to see how these two met and how their relationship kind of develops. Normally I'm someone who does not like to read interconnected standalones out of order, but frankly I didn't even realize that I was reading them out of order, and I just picked one that sounded good and I was totally fine with it. So maybe I need to like rethink that. But anyways, moving on. Then we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. I have only ever read one Emily Henry book. It was The Friend Zone, and I don't know why I have not read more. I just haven't. I think I am anticipating them so much that I'm kind of like nervous about reading them. I also want to be in the mood to read an Emily Henry book, and I feel like July is the time to read Abby Jimenez, Emily Henry, Allie Hazelwood, like all of those, you know, like just those like cutesy, romancy, but also has like some depth to it type of romance books. So that's why I feel like this one's gonna be perfect. Also, we're in a massive heat wave and I would love to go down to the beach and just read this book, beach read, you know, on the beach. My dogs keep barking and this is really annoying. Continuing on with our water theme, we have One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I have not read any Carly Fortune books, which I feel like is a bit of a crime. So I do definitely want to get to some of her books this year. I think I want to start off with One Golden Summer just because I've heard such good reviews about it. And I also want to read Our Perfect Storm, which I got in one of my Book of the Month books. So I was kind of thinking I could read this one and then potentially Our Perfect Storm like right after or something like that. I'm pretty sure my dog is eating a bug. Excuse me, ma'am. And then I also picked out Across the Vanishing Side by Catherine Cowles. This is a small town romance, but with a kind of like thrillery mystery twist. So I believe this girl has to come back to like the town that she grew up in because one of her friends goes missing. Yeah, her best friend goes missing, and then she ends up like in a romance with someone who was already there. I don't know if she knew the man before. I think she did, but essentially like a romance plus a thrillery mystery type thing happens, and that just sounds like super interesting, especially for the summer. I don't know, I love reading thrillers in the summer. We have 4 to pick from, and I think I don't know what I want. You know, I think I do know what I want, actually. That didn't take very long at all. I want to read Beach Read by Emily Henry, mostly because I have a couple days off of work this week, and I think it would be so fun just to go down to the beach and bring this book with me. So yeah, we're gonna pick Beach Read by Emily Henry. Prompt number 3. Ooh, that almost just fell in my drink. A fantasy book with mermaids, Vikings, or pirates. The Wicked Sea, which is a book I picked last month, has mermaids in it, but I didn't end up reading it, so I could technically pick that. Okay, it appears that we have to pick The Wicked Sea if I'm going to follow this prompt, which I do want to follow this prompt, especially because I kind of like mildly cheated on the first one. All right, The Wicked Sea is going back on the TBR cart. What was my last prompt I picked? A fantasy. Okay, well that's gone. We have a fantasy with mermaids, Vikings, or pirates. So this book is about a mermaid who I think ends up going onto the earth. Yeah, not the earth, what am I saying? The land. She ends up growing legs and hid herself on a land in a kingdom of Mortia. I mean, it sounds good, and the book is beautiful. This is an Illyrial edition. Okay, that's gonna be our 3rd book. All right. Okay, one of these prompts is gonna fall in my juice. A book you've had for a long time. Thank you for shaming me. I've had Wild Love for a while. Summer Fridays I think I got last summer. These are all relatively newer. Silver Elite might be the one I've had on the longest, to be honest, because I know I got this in May of last year because it was my book of the month pick. So we could do Silver Elite, which that would be, I'd be kind of down with that because I do have Broken Dove, so I could just, you know, read that right away. Oh, the other one is When the Moon Hatched. I've had that one for quite a while too. But I think it's gonna be between Silver Elite and Wild Love. I'm just gonna go with Silver Elite. This is a dystopian romance, and I am heavily in my dystopian era right now, so I've been looking forward to reading this one, and I really think I'm gonna get down with it. So it says, in the first book of a sizzling dystopian romance series, psychic gifts are a death sentence, and there are rules to survival. Trust no one, lie to everyone, and whatever you do, don't fall for your greatest enemy. So I think our main character has psychic abilities, and then she ends up, does she like get captured? She gets placed in the hands of her enemy, and she's forced to join the Silver Block, their most elite training program. So it sounds delightful, to be honest. Punch number 5. We're just gonna get that little guy. A cowboy romance. Oh my gosh. This is perfect because I can pick Wild Love. This is great. I see, that's why I was meant to pick Silver Elite, because I was gonna get this one the next time around. I don't know why, but I have just been thinking about Elsie Silver lately and Wild Love and this entire Wild series. What is this called? I don't even remember the series name. I call it the Wild series, but I know that's not right. Rose Hill series. So I finished the Chestnut Spring series, I think it was last year, maybe the beginning of this year, but oh, I think it was the beginning of this year. Regardless, I loved it, and I just like really took my time reading those books because I just was loving them so much. But I've kind of been into binging series lately, and I could definitely see myself binging this series this summer. I just really have been wanting to pick up these like light, fluffy, romance, lighthearted books. I've also, side note, been in like kind of like a weird mental health mood. Not weird. I mean, it's not weird for me because I go ebb and flow into these parts of, you know, having really high feelings and then having really low feelings, as I feel a lot of us do. But I've just been struggling with that, I feel like, a lot recently, and I don't want to feel like that. Obviously I never want to feel like that, but I really just don't want to feel like that lately. And so having some of these like fluffy light reads has just been like really nice. Like I was just really enjoying my time with the off-campus series because it was just like lighthearted. It was still dealing with tougher subjects and tougher topics, and I felt like we got a real sense of what each person was going through, but I liked that the overall kind of note of the book was relatively lighthearted, and that's what I'm in the mood for. So I think this is going to be a perfect book to read this summer. A book in a series. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love series. So I have 3 options that I could pick for this that I'm just now thinking of. We have The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. We have Fated Throne, which is the 6th book in the Zodiac Academy series. And then I also have Twisted Lies, which is the, what book? Is this the 2nd book? Yeah, I think this is the 2nd book in the Twisted series by Anna Huang. So this one is following a princess and her bodyguard, and I actually have already read like 40% of this book, but I stopped because I was reading other things. I don't even remember what I got into reading, but I basically just stopped reading this, and then I got the collector's edition. Ugh, I don't really feel like I'm going to be in the mood for Fated Throne, so I think we can automatically just like take this one off. Anna Huang's The Twisted series is kind of intro dark romance, and if you are, I've read dark romance, I've dipped my toes in it. Actually, I've gotten headfirst into it and I personally really like it. I really like dark romance. I know it's not for everybody, and if it's not for you, then I would recommend the Twisted series, because I think if you're interested in the concept of dark romance, but it kind of like freaks you out, or you're just like not ready to read like a Hunting Adeline type book or Haunting Adeline type book, then the Twisted series is a really good start, especially the 1st book. The 1st book is like giving like mild stalker vibes, but in like the best way possible, and I love it. So yeah, anyways, side note on that. I think I'm gonna pick Twisted Lies because I don't really have a dark romance on here, and I haven't read a dark romance in a hot minute. I think the last book I read that was like quote-unquote dark romance was the 1st book in the Twisted series, which was at the beginning of last month. Yeah, I'm ready to like dive back into this series. Okay, final prompt. A book with a pretty cover, girl. You know me so well. I really like The Courting of Bristol Keats. Honestly, I really like the cover of the Abby Jimenez book because this one's a Target exclusive, and I just really liked it. Normally, I feel like in these ones, my like Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, Afterlight books always win, but I need to like assess the situation. You know what other books I really like that are very summery are the Laurie Gilmore books. These 2 are Target exclusive editions. They have like these beautiful sprayed edges. At least I think they're Target exclusives. I know I got them at Target. I'm pretty sure they're Target exclusives. But they have these like beautiful little sprayed edges, and I just thought they were so cute. The Daisy Chain Flower Shop just came out, and I do want to read these. I've read the pumpkin one. What's the pumpkin one? The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I thought it was okay. I honestly think I'm going to do a reread of it this fall, because I think I wasn't in the mood to read that last fall, and I listened to it on audio, and it was okay. I just didn't like love it, but I feel like I could really like it if I was in the mood for it. I'm just really into small town spicy romances lately. Like, they're just giving me everything I need, and I think talking about this is convincing me to put this on the TBR, which is crazy because I normally never pass up a Fairy Loot edition or an Illumicrate edition specifically for this prompt, but I'm just in the mood for, like I said, these light, fluffy, lighthearted romances that just make me happy, because I want to be happy right now in life. So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Daisy Chain Flower Shop. Like I said, I haven't read any of the other ones, so I will let you guys know if this is a book that I feel like you can just jump into. They're technically interconnected standalones, but I've heard differing views about whether you should, you know, read the book in order and that kind of a thing, but I really don't want to read the pumpkin book right now, which is the 1st book in the series. I want to read that in the fall, and then there's like the Christmas Tree Farm, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. Like, I want to read them in the seasons that they're meant to be read in, because I feel like that'd be a giant disservice, since these are just essentially these cute little books that are meant to be like popcorn books. So yeah, we're gonna read this one. I can't believe we're already done. So let's do a little recap. For my first prompt, which was technically my redo prompt, I got a sports romance, and for this one I chose The Goal by Elle Kennedy. For my second prompt, I got a free pick, and for this one I chose Beach Read by Emily Henry. For my third prompt, I got a fantasy book that had either pirates, Vikings, or mermaids in it, and for this one I chose The Wicked Sea by Jordan Stephanie Gray. For my fourth prompt, I got a book that I have owned for a long time, and for this one I chose Silver Elite by Danny Francis. For my fifth prompt, I got a cowboy romance, and for this one I chose Wild Love by Elsie Silver. For my sixth prompt, I got a book in a series, and for this one I chose Twisted Lies by Anna Wong. And for my seventh and final prompt, I got a book with a pretty cover, and for this one I chose The Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Lori Gilmore. I hope you guys enjoyed picking my July TBR with me. Please let me know what's on your TBR. I would love to know, and please let me know if you've read any of these books or if you have recommendations for me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!